So I'm off to do my CBT, which is compulsory basic training to learn a bike. I'm quite excited. Hopefully I pass. Well, technically it's not pass or fail, but hopefully it goes well. But yeah. So first off, it's been about 2 weeks since I've done my CBT. This isn't my flat. This is where I work. I'm shoved in a little cupboard that is very messy and it does my nut in. But back to the CBT. So first off, when you do your CBT, they make sure that they tell you that this is not a test. But at the end of the day, if they deem that you are not safe on the roads and you are a danger to other people, you will not get the certificate. So either at the end of the day, you get a certificate or you don't get a certificate, depending on how well you performed. So to me, it is kind of a pass and fail. But the bar is like really low. Like as long as you show that you were taking on board, all the stuff that they're trying to teach you, and you can take the information and then improve on that, and then they will award you the CBT. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to be perfect. It's just to say, look, these are the basic information you need to not instantly kill yourself on the road. Here's one thing I found really interesting though about the CBT. Obviously, with motorbikes, there are two types. Obviously, with like the 125 motorbikes, you have like geared motorbikes, or you have like the mopeds, where it's just automatic. You just twist the throttle. You can do your CBT on an automatic, and then the next day go out and buy a manual, which sounds like a death wish. If you want to ride a manual and go and get like a manual bike, but you're worried that you might not pass the CBT, and you think, oh, I'm just going to do the automatic just because I can pass it. Don't do that. Like, you most probably will pass. Like, don't put yourself in that kind of danger. Do it with a manual and then buy a manual. But yeah, first off, so I got there. Basically, there was just two of us. So when I was looking for to do the CBT, there was like two places near me. One place was like a really big franchise, and they seemed to have okay reviews, but there was someone at my work who had a motorbike, and I just thought I'd ask him. And he said, oh, I did my CBT at the first place I was looking, and they did it, pretty much every day of the week. And there was this one other place nearby that just did it on a Sunday, and it was just one guy on his own. And the guy I was talking to was like, yeah, I did it with the big place with everyone for my CBT. And he was like, you don't really get one-to-one. There was a bit too many people in the class. You just didn't get enough attention. And then luckily the guy I was also talking to, then when he wanted to do his like direct access and get like the full shebang and get the full bike license, he went to the other guy and he was like, he's amazing. So I went to the guy that is amazing. So I turned up on a Sunday and it was just me and one other guy. So it was just two of us to one teacher, which is pretty cool. So honestly, online, like, just look at reviews, because you don't want to end up doing, a test with someone that's just passes everyone. I mean, if you just want to be like a delivery driver and you're going to ride an automatic, okay, yeah, but it's not really safe. But yeah, so I got there. It was setting up the bikes and everything. He went in, we did a tiny bit of theory. They kind of expect you to have read the highway code before you go. So go read the highway code. It's basically, it's the do's and don'ts of the road. It's pretty like, what's the word? Pretty common sense. It's just common sense. That's what it is, really. So read that before you go. They do a little bit of theory. They, told us what was going to happen that day, and then showed us the gear you need to wear. So in the UK roads, you're only legally required to wear a helmet. You could go out naked. Well, maybe not naked, but just in your undies if you wanted to. But then you got to think, if you fall off, that's your skin that's coming off. So then showed us like all the different bike gear you can have and how to read if it's certified. So helmets in the UK have a special certification. They all have them. And you need to check that they've got that just to make sure they're not fake and they're going to crack open like an egg if you fall off. So we did that. That was great. Then took us outside, showed us, the controls on the bike, where the indicators are, the horn, accelerator, whatnot. Showed us how to take it on and off the stand and walk it around, because apparently the easiest and most common way most people drop motorcycles is walking them around with the engine off. Because at the end of the day, it is fairly heavy. Even the lightest motorcycles are probably like 100 kilos. on two wheels. You need to know how to be able to move it about, oh, I've dropped it. Do you know what I mean? And then he took us around, got on the bikes, showed us how to turn them on, know how to get on and off a bike safely, put it into neutral every time you get off kind of thing. And then we whacked them into first gear. He would teach us how to go around in a circle and then stop again. That's what we did that for probably about an hour, because me and the other guys he had ridden a motorcycle before. I hadn't. I was a complete novice and I was completely up front. Oh, that's one other thing. If you're going to do your motorbike test and you have never ridden a bicycle, sounds like a bit of common sense, or you're not the best on a bike, just go get yourself a push bike and ride that around for a bit, because obviously you need balance, because you've got a lot to think about when you're learning. So taught us how to basically move off, and that's actually probably the hardest part, especially on a geared bike. I stalled a lot of the time because I wasn't giving it enough revs, and obviously when you rev it, to me it sounded like I was revving the tits off the thing, but I wasn't. So we went round, and then we learned how to then go up a gear, and then we would go around, stop, and then go, and then we'd do that for a while. And then we did a figure of 8, and then we did slaloms. Yeah, and then like I said, we'll go around in circles, and we're going up a gear, down a gear, and then he got so we were doing this all in a school playground as well, but he then got a line of cones and was doing U-turns in the cones, stopping, doing U-turns again in the cones and stopping, which is awesome. Then those cones stayed there, and then we did lefts and right and all sorts. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot to learn in one day. And the guy that was teaching us, he was really good, but he was quite pushy, because he also knew that he had 2 complete novices on his hands and he needed to get us through. So coincidentally, we didn't even stop for lunch. We did a lot. But basically, so yeah, the guy I was with, he was shouting a little bit. Well, not really shouting, but being very pushy, and sometimes it is a little bit unnerving, but I guess on the road there's a lot of pressure as well. So you make a mistake and oh god, I made a mistake. But what are you doing? Look where you're going. Look where you're going. Look where you're going. And you're like, ah. Eventually, I was getting on and I was thinking, I'm not gonna do this CBT. He's gonna turn around to be like, you guys, you need more practice. You're gonna have to come back, kind of thing. And I was getting really worried. And then eventually, I was like, okay, so we're gonna go out on the road now. Bearing in mind, just before he said this, I just stalled again, and I was like, what? It was like, well, you don't have to go out if you don't want to. And us wheels are both like, no, we want to go out. We want to do it. So we went out on the road. I think it was for about 2 hours. But when we first went out on the road, I was a bit nervous. Obviously, before we went out on the road, he kind of told us what was going to happen. We've had helmets on with Bluetooth headsets, so we can only talk to him. Obviously, we can't talk back to him. Told us what would happen. Sometimes one of us would lead. Sometimes the other person would lead. He might be in front. And he was showing us, where to position yourself in the road, because it's a little bit backwards to a push bike. So whenever I was rode a push bike, I'd always kind of hug the side of the road kind of thing. With a bike, you don't want to do that on a motorcycle. You got to think, say my hand's a lorry and you're a tiny little motorbike. You don't want to be weaving in and out of the cars along the side of the road, because someone's not going to see you. You want to kind of be almost out in the middle of the road, so people can see you, and then kind of, if there's cars on the side of the road, move out a bit more. There's oncoming traffic, move over. It's just kind of common sense, but someone's almost holding your hand a bit. And then after a while, I started to enjoy it so much. And we did the test near to where I live. We drove quite close past my house, and we drove past in 2 minutes, in a minute. And then obviously we got back, and then he was like, great, you guys have passed, awesome. Loved it. It was great. And then it then took me an hour to get home. I was like, I need to get a bike. Coincidentally, I don't have a bike, because I did a CBT because I started a new job. But it takes me 5 hours to get to and from work every day. So I was like, I need something with an engine. And a CBT is the quickest way to be able to ride something with an engine. But there's only out of all vehicles on the road, only 2% of people are motorbike riders, only 2%. And a lot of accidents happen with motorbikes, and a lot of teenagers go and get a CBT. So there's a lot of things going against you. So literally, for a cheap motorcycle that's kind of reliable, so you're looking at a Honda or something like that, like a Honda CB125 or something like that. Very bland, not particularly pretty looking bike. Probably the least hooligan looking bike you could get, right? and they'll probably get about £1.5 grand second hand. And so I want to try and get a bigger bike eventually. And I'm thinking if I'm going to fall off a bike, it's going to happen probably when I'm quite new. So I wanted to get, I want to get a nice helmet, nice jacket, trousers, and shoes and gloves. And when you look at all that kind of kit, that's like £1 grand as well. But then insurance on a new bike, on a second-hand bike, if you were new, it's like almost the same price again. So then I dropped that. So that was with fully comp insurance I was looking at. So looking at a bike that's like £1.5 grand, like it's basically like the Honda Jazz of the bike world. It's like a granny bike, yeah. And it was £1.5 grand, and for fully comp for a year was £1.5 grand. So the same price again. I'm like, I might as well just save up money myself to pay for a bike if I crash it. But anyway, I then dropped it to fully comp, but then I was like, well, I'm going to spend like £1.5 grand on like leathers and stuff. So I want them covered as well. So I did fire and theft, and it covered leathers. And then that was about £1.5 grand again. So you are literally looking about £3 grand to ride a bike fully insured with all the protective gear. Like I said, you could probably cut like £750 off that price if you don't go for full bike leathers and stuff. And you're like, I'm not going to fall off. Fine, on your head be it, do that. I mean, you could also just get third-party insurance. But I live in London, so if I get a bike, there's probably about a 75% chance it will get stolen. But yeah, so I'm still saving up for a bike. But CBT is good. Don't panic. That's the biggest advice I can give you. Like, read the highway code, watch other people's bike videos. They were quite helpful. But like, just don't panic and take your time, because at the end of the day, if you panic, you are more likely to be unsafe. And that is really the only reason you are not going to pass your CBT, is if you would put yourself or other people in danger on the road. If you show that you're taking on board what the instructor is saying, but you still need a lot of practice, you will still pass your CBT. Well, not pass, sorry, it's not a pass or fail. You will still be awarded your CBT. But yeah, just woosa. Yeah, just be calm and it'll be fine. And enjoy it. Like, it was one of those things where I enjoyed it more after it finished. I was like, that was freaking awesome. But at the time I was like, I'm going to die. Once I was on the road, it was awesome. You will enjoy it. And it's 120 quid. I fully recommend it. Just research the instructor place before. Obviously, Google's your friend. Look at reviews. It's like buying anything. Just look at the reviews, see what people are saying. If they're like, this guy is awful, obviously go for somewhere else. But literally, that's my 2 tips. Read reviews on where you're going to take your CBT, and also just be calm and read the highway code. That's 3, I know. But be calm is the main one. Be calm, be vigilant, enjoy yourself. I'll see you on the next one. That's all I've got to say. Bye. That's a lot I had to say. Sorry.